Across the history of science fiction cinema, certain films have left audiences with memories that cannot be accounted for, moments that feel as vivid as anything captured on celluloid, yet appear in no verified cut. These are not simple misquotes or half-remembered scenes. They are specific images, crisp lines of dialogue, and emotional beats that thousands of viewers recall with perfect clarity. And yet, when revisiting the films, these moments are nowhere to be found. It is as if fragments of alternate edits slipped briefly into the collective consciousness before dissolving back into the shadows. Some viewers speak of scenes they are certain they witnessed in early trailers, shots framed so distinctly that they remain imprinted long after every known promotional reel has been archived. Others insist they saw moments during late-night broadcasts or regional screenings that differ subtly, yet unmistakably, from every existing version. Even more unsettling are the recollections that align across continents. People who have never met describing the same shot, the same lighting, the same line of dialogue that officially never existed. Studios often attribute these anomalies to variations in international distribution or misremembered promotional material. Filmmakers, when asked, sometimes hint that scenes were removed or reworked during early editing phases, but offer no specifics that match the memories in question. And still, the recalled moments feel too real, too emotionally resonant, to dismiss as mere distortion. They evoke the uncanny sensation of glimpsing a parallel version of a film, one that may have existed for a brief moment in time before slipping out of reach. Tonight, we open the vault to examine these elusive impressions, scenes remembered by many, documented by none, and preserved only in the minds of those convinced they once saw them flicker across a screen. These are the echoes of films that seem to shift between realities, leaving behind questions that have never been fully answered. 1. Blade Runner, the balcony moment that never appeared. Among the most enduring phantom memories tied to Blade Runner is a quiet, rain-soaked moment on Deckard's balcony, an exchange that countless viewers remember vividly, even though no existing version includes it. According to these recollections, the scene unfolds after Deckard returns home injured. He steps onto the balcony, leaning heavily against the railing as neon reflections shimmer across his face. From behind, Gaff emerges out of the shadows, his boots clicking softly on the wet concrete. Fans describe him delivering a cryptic remark, something about crossing a line that can't be uncrossed before turning away without waiting for a reply. The memory is strangely consistent. The dim blue glow from across the skyline, the steady drizzle, and the tension between the two men hanging in the air like static. Many recall the scene as a subtle character turning point, a quiet acknowledgement that Gaff understood more about Deckard's inner conflict than the film allows. Yet the theatrical cut, the director's cut, and even the meticulous final cut lack any trace of it. No stills, workprint fragments, or archival notes confirm its existence. What deepens the mystery is that multiple viewers claim they saw the moment during early TV broadcasts in the 1,980 seconds, or 1,990 seconds. Others insist it was part of a foreign VHS edition. Even more puzzling, fans have pointed to old magazine spreads that seem to show Deckard and Gaff standing together outdoors, but none of these publications have been verifiably sourced. Edward James Olmos once hinted that additional atmospheric scenes were filmed, though he offered no detail. Whether this balcony moment came from those abandoned shots, a misremembered production photo, or something more elusive, its persistence in collective memory remains one of Blade Runner's most compelling cinematic ghosts. 2. The Matrix, the forgotten line, after there is no spoon. One of the strangest memory anomalies surrounding The Matrix concerns an extended exchange that supposedly followed the famous "there is no spoon" line. According to countless viewers, the child in the Oracle's waiting room did not stop at the iconic phrase, but continued with an additional insight, something subtle yet profound about reshaping one's perception before reshaping the world. Others recall Neo adding a soft reply, acknowledging his dawning understanding. This longer beat, remembered with remarkable clarity, gave the moment a more contemplative tone. However, every verified version of the film contains only the brief interaction known today. No trailer, deleted scene, or alternate cut offers support for this expanded dialogue. Yet the memory persists across audiences who watch the film in different regions and languages. Some describe seeing the extended line in a pre-release teaser that played before major films in 1998. Others believe it appeared in promotional materials screened at tech conferences, which often hosted early previews of films involving futuristic concepts. Fans consistently recall the camera lingering slightly longer on Neo as he watches the spoon bend, his expression shifting in a way that suggested deeper comprehension. Many also remember the child's tone gentle, almost instructive, as if delivering a final clue hidden within the Zen-like riddle. These impressions feel too cohesive to dismiss as random imagination. The Wachowskis once mentioned that several philosophical lines were trimmed to maintain pacing, though they never specified which ones. It is possible this memory stems from an early draft or test screening shown only to select audiences, or perhaps the scene's thematic power planted the seed for a line that viewers collectively constructed. Whatever its origin, the missing spoon dialogue remains one of the most shared and confidently recalled phantom scenes in modern sci-fi. 3. Interstellar, the double Cooper vision no cut contains. Among the many lingering impressions left by Interstellar, one phantom scene stands out for its emotional power and eerie consistency. A fleeting moment in which Cooper reportedly sees another version of himself outside the Tesseract. Viewers describe Cooper suspended in the kaleidoscopic distortion of the black hole, surrounded by fractured streams of light. In this memory, he suddenly notices a second figure, drifting parallel to him, identical in appearance, yet separated by a shimmering rift in space-time. For a moment, the two Coopers reach toward one another before the vision collapses into blinding white. No available version of the film includes anything resembling this. Yet fans who swear they witnessed it describe the same visual rhythm, the disorienting silence, the warped gravitational lensing, and the profound shock on Cooper's face. Some insist they saw the moment during early IMAX releases, speculating that an experimental sequence might have been swapped out before the official wide release. Others believe it appeared in an early trailer, though none preserved today includes the imagery in question. Rumors among enthusiasts point to unused VFX explorations that visualized alternate ways of representing higher dimensional perception. Team members have acknowledged producing multiple conceptual sequences, some reportedly too abstract for the final film. If any test animation ever screened publicly, even briefly, it might explain the uncanny uniformity of the recollection. Still, the emotional clarity described by fans suggests something more than a misremembered concept. Many claim the scene made them grasp, for the first time, the full weight of Interstellar's non-linear time structure. The absence of evidence only deepens the mystery. The double Cooper vision remains a compelling cinematic ghost one audiences feel they witnessed, even though the film insists they did not. 4. Terminator 2. Sarah's vanished vision of the ash-wasted future. Among the most persistent phantom scenes tied to Terminator 2 is a bleak, dreamlike vision that many viewers swear they witnessed. Sarah Connor standing alone in a world already consumed by Judgment Day. Unlike the playground nightmare included in the official film, this remembered sequence shows a silent wasteland, layered with powdery ash drifting through the air. Fans describe Sarah walking through skeletal remains of skyscrapers, their metal frames warped into twisted silhouettes by unimaginable heat. The ground beneath her feet is cracked and scorched, and half-buried endoskeletons lie motionless, like silent sentinels of a future already lost. What makes this phantom moment especially compelling is how consistently it is remembered. Viewers describe Sarah whispering something haunting. Variations include, "This is the cost of doing nothing," before she awakens suddenly, breath trembling, drenched in sweat. The tone of the supposed vision is stark, ominous, and unnervingly quiet. Many recall the scene appearing in early home video broadcasts or during a late-night TV edit in the mid-1990 seconds, though none of these claims have ever been substantiated. The confusion grew when fans discovered a promotional still featuring Linda Hamilton in a rubble-strewn environment, framed by smoke and stark lighting. Although believed to be a staged marketing photo, its resemblance to the remembered dream sequence reignited speculation. James Cameron once acknowledged filming explorations of nightmare imagery, but he provided no detail as to what those visuals entailed. Whether these experiments contributed to the shared memory remains uncertain. Some theorists believe the phantom vision may originate from pre-production concept art that circulated widely in magazines, subtly blending into viewers' recollections. Others insist they truly saw the sequence during early screenings. Regardless of its origin, the ash-wasted Sarah vision has become one of the most compelling ghost scenes in sci-fi cinema, too vivid to ignore, yet absent from every surviving cut. 5. Alien, 1979. The facehugger scuttling across the ceiling. One of the most widely reported non-existent scenes in sci-fi belongs to Ridley Scott's Alien, a moment in which the facehugger supposedly crawls across the infirmary ceiling, moving with insect-like speed while the crew scrambles below. Viewers describe the shot with remarkable precision. They recall the camera tilting upward as the creature scurries along a metal beam, its limbs making a sticky, unsettling sound that echoes through the sterile chamber. Some even remember Ripley ducking instinctively as the shadow of the creature passes above her, illuminated by the harsh overhead lights. Yet no version of Alien, the theatrical release, the director's cut, or any archival footage contains such imagery. This has not stopped the memory from spreading. Fans consistently recount the same angle, the same lighting, the same unnerving movement. Many believe the moment first appeared in early television broadcasts or in a long-lost international trailer. Others point to a production still published in magazines during 1979 that showed the facehugger on a wall during a puppetry test. They claim that over time, the still came alive in memory, evolving into a fully imagined scene. However, the intensity of the recollection suggests something more. One former effects artist vaguely mentioned that several experimental puppetry passes never made it into the cut, though he offered no details on how those tests looked. If any of these test shots were ever shown in promotional behind-the-scenes packages or aired during television segments, it could explain the phantom memory's longevity. Still, the uniformity with which fans describe the ceiling crawler moment is uncanny. It feels completely aligned with the film's oppressive tone, as though it should have existed. And for many viewers, it still does, burned into memory, despite its absence from the official cinematic record. 6. Star Wars: A New Hope, Obi-Wan's last words that were never spoken. A particularly striking memory anomaly in Star Wars: A New Hope centers on a line of dialogue Obi-Wan Kenobi is remembered delivering during his final duel with Darth Vader. Viewers insist they once heard Obi-Wan speak a calm, reflective phrase moments before he lifts his lightsaber in acceptance of his fate. The line varies slightly. Some recall, "The Force holds what we cannot." Others remember, "Balance chooses its keeper." Yet all agree that the tone was serene and resolute, perfectly matching Alec Guinness's performance. But no release of the film contains such a line. Not the original theatrical prints, not the special editions, not the Blu-ray restorations. Still, the memory persists across generations. Fans who grew up watching the film on VHS swear they heard the line. Others insist it appeared in early TV broadcasts, claiming the audio mix felt subtly different. Some even recall pausing their tapes to replay the moment, certain they heard Obi-Wan utter a final teaching before his sacrifice. Complicating matters further is a rare, disputed audio clip circulated among collectors, purportedly an unused ADR take of Guinness delivering philosophical variants meant for the duel. While its authenticity is uncertain, its mere existence has fueled belief that alternative dialogue once existed. Novelizations from the era also contain introspective passages that echo the remembered sentiment, which may have blended unconsciously with cinematic recollection. The consistency of the memory is what makes it so unsettling. Fans describe the same lighting shift, the same slight pause from Vader, the same emotional gravity. Whether this phantom line emerged from early drafts, alternate audio takes, or collective interpretation of Obi-Wan's spiritual arc, it remains one of the most persistent ghost lines in the Star Wars mythos, spoken with conviction by thousands of memories, yet recorded nowhere in the film itself. 7. Avatar, Neytiri's forest warning that appeared only in memory. Among the most frequently recounted phantom moments linked to Avatar is a scene many viewers believe they saw in early promotional material, a quiet yet urgent warning from Neytiri delivered deep within the luminescent forests of Pandora. According to these memories, Neytiri pauses beneath a canopy of glowing vines as motes of bioluminescent dust swirl in the air. She turns to Jake, her expression edged with instinctive fear, and utters a line remembered in various forms, usually something akin to, "The forest speaks when danger approaches." As she speaks, the spores seem to shift direction, as though responding to a threat only she can sense. Jake watches, tense and uncertain, while the ambient glow brightens momentarily around them. Yet no official trailer, deleted scene, or extended edition contains this moment. Still, Fans recall it with remarkable consistency. Many insist it appeared in a pre-release trailer attached to several major blockbusters, while others believe they saw it in early international promotional reels. The imagery is described in near-identical detail. Neytiri framed in soft purple-blue light, the camera slightly angled upward, and a soft rustling sound echoing through the forest. Some claim the moment hinted at Neytiri's deeper spiritual connection to Pandora, one that felt more pronounced than in the final cut. A plausible source of the memory may lie in a widely circulated promotional still that shows Neytiri partially illuminated by airborne spores. Although lacking dialogue, the still bears such strong visual resemblance to the remembered scene that it may have influenced viewers' recollections. Others speculate that the memory stems from early drafts in which Neytiri served as a more explicit conduit for the planet's warnings. Regardless of origin, the persistence and clarity of this non-existent forest warning have turned it into one of Avatar's most recognizable phantom scenes, one that seems entirely believable within the film's world, even though it never appeared on screen. 8. The Fifth Element, Korben's corridor encounter that exists in no cut. A long-standing memory shared by fans of The Fifth Element involves a supposed encounter between Korben and Lilu in a narrow industrial corridor, an encounter that, despite being vividly remembered, does not exist in any known version of the film. According to these recollections, the scene takes place shortly after Lilu flees into the ventilation network. Korben, searching for her, steps into a dim corridor lined with flickering amber lights and exposed pipework. At the opposite end, Lilu suddenly appears, breathless but composed, her eyes wide with urgency. She quietly gestures for Korben to stay back before whispering a brief warning often remembered simply as, "Not now," before vanishing around a corner with startling speed. What makes this phantom sequence so striking is the consistency with which fans recount the atmosphere. Many recall a subtle musical cue, ethereal, almost mournful, accompanying Lilu's brief appearance. Others remember Korben's expression shifting from confusion to concern, as if sensing a danger he cannot yet perceive. These recollections feel grounded and cinematic, as though pulled from a completed scene rather than imagined fragments. Speculation often points to European television promotions, some of which reportedly included unused corridor footage, yet no archived broadcast or trailer has ever confirmed this. Behind the scenes, materials do mention alternate corridor takes filmed early in production, but none match the descriptions provided by viewers. The absence of any visual record makes the memory even more intriguing. Some believe the phantom moment emerged from blending promotional B-roll with the film's stylized aesthetic, while others argue that the scene truly existed in a brief test cut shown prior to wide release. Regardless, the corridor encounter has become one of the most iconic missing scenes in sci-fi fandom, one that feels completely in harmony with the film's tone, despite never appearing in the final product. 9. Minority Report, Anderton's vision of himself that never occurred. Among all the phantom scenes tied to Minority Report, none is described with more confidence than the moment in which Chief John Anderton supposedly witnesses a fragmented prevision of his own future. Viewers claim that, during one of the early sequences inside the precog chamber, Anderton becomes overwhelmed by a surge of visual data. Within the shimmering projections reflected across the surface of the water, he briefly sees a distorted image of himself standing alone in a rain-soaked alleyway, weapon lowered, expression haunted. Agatha reacts with sudden distress, whispering something indecipherable as the vision flickers erratically before collapsing into darkness. Despite these detailed recollections, no cut of the film, including international editions, deleted footage, or test screening accounts contains such a moment. Nonetheless, fans remain adamant, describing the same emotional charge, the unmistakable recognition in Anderton's eyes, the blue-tinted lighting, the uneasy bass rumble beneath the audio. Many believe the phantom vision foreshadowed his eventual downfall more directly than the version audiences received. Some theorize that the memory originated from early drafts that depicted more introspective glimpses into the future crime's interface. Others argue that stylized shots used in promotional featurettes may have resembled Anderton's silhouette closely enough to insinuate a false memory. Still, these explanations fail to address how uniformly fans agree on the setting, tone, and framing of the non-existent scene. For many, the phantom vision feels entirely natural within the film's exploration of fate and self-fulfilling prophecy. Its absence only deepens the impression that some viewers may have encountered an alternate assembly cut lost during the editing process, or that they collectively constructed a scene the film's themes seemed to demand. Whatever its origin, Anderton's impossible self-vision stands as one of the most persistent ghost moments in the landscape of sci-fi memory anomalies. 10. Donnie Darko, the classroom apparition that never screened. Among the many surreal memories associated with Donnie Darko, one phantom moment resurfaces repeatedly in fan discussions, an eerie classroom apparition of Frank that seemingly vanished from the film's history. In this recollection, Donnie sits at his desk while sunlight filters softly through the window. The lesson unfolding around him feels mundane until the fluorescent lights flicker. For a brief instant, a metallic hum fills the room, and Frank appears at the back of the classroom, rigid and unmoving, his reflective mask catching a sharp glint of light. Donnie's eyes widen, his breath halts, and just as he reacts, the figure disappears as quickly as it came. No official version of Donnie Darko contains this moment, not the theatrical release, the director's cut, or any deleted scene compilation. Yet fans swear the shot existed, particularly those who watched the film on late-night cable in the early 2000s. Many describe the same framing, the camera slowly pushing in on Donnie, the hum lingering slightly longer than expected, and Frank's presence hovering like a visual glitch that interrupts the flow of reality. Some speculate that the memory originated from early promotional teasers that leaned harder into psychological horror, possibly using stylized footage not intended for the final cut. Others suspect the scene may have come from a rough assembly shown at festivals before being trimmed. Richard Kelly has acknowledged filming additional hallucinatory content, though he never confirmed what it depicted. The classroom apparition resonates deeply because it fits so naturally within the film's paranoid, reality-fracturing atmosphere. It feels like a moment Donnie should have experienced, so much so that many viewers internalized it as if it were genuinely part of the narrative. The absence of any physical evidence only amplifies its status as one of sci-fi cinema's most enduring phantom impressions. 11. Inception, Cobb's monumental limbo collapse that never existed. A particularly striking phantom memory tied to Inception involves a sweeping vision of limbo far more expansive than anything seen in the official film. Fans recall Cobb standing alone on a desolate shoreline as entire towers buckle and fold into the ocean in one continuous motion. Unlike the fragmented glimpses included in the final cut, this remembered sequence unfolds with deliberate grandeur waves, freezing mid-crash, skyscrapers collapsing in slow, mournful arcs, and dust swirling in hypnotic spirals. Some viewers even remember Cobb whispering a line, often something like, "All of this was ours," before the world around him dissolves. Yet no version of Inception, including documented work prints and promotional reels, includes such imagery. Still, the memory is exceptionally uniform. Many claim they saw the sequence during early IMAX screenings, believing it was replaced before the wide release. Others insist the footage appeared in an extended trailer that has since vanished, though no archived promotional cut includes anything resembling this scene. The origin of the memory may lie in unused VFX explorations. Members of the visual effects team have admitted developing grand-scale test sequences to define how limbo might collapse under its own instability. These conceptual animations, though never intended for public viewing, could have appeared briefly in behind-the-scenes features, prompting viewers to merge them subconsciously with the film itself. Still, this explanation falters against the emotional clarity people attach to the phantom moment. The remembered sequence fits so seamlessly into Inception's themes, regret, decay, and the burden of creation that its absence feels almost unnatural. It is precisely the kind of visual crescendo audiences expect, which may explain why so many insist they witnessed it. Whether born from promotional materials, early drafts, or collective imagination, Cobb's monumental limbo collapse remains one of the most persistent ghost scenes of Nolan's filmography. 12. Edge of Tomorrow, the somber aftermath ending fans refuse to forget. One of the most emotionally charged phantom memories associated with Edge of Tomorrow concerns a somber alternate ending, one that diverges drastically from the triumphant closure audiences know. In this recalled version, Cage awakens not in a restored world, but in the wreckage of a devastated military base. Rain falls steadily across mangled machinery, shattered exosuits, and smoldering debris. Cage staggers forward, shouting for Rita, his voice hoarse and cracking. The scene is quiet, heavy, and steeped in melancholy. Fans consistently remember Cage finding Rita alive but grievously injured, propped against a broken support beam. She speaks softly. Variations include "Some echoes never fade," suggesting she retains faint traces of prior loops. Cage kneels beside her, overwhelmed by conflicting relief and sorrow. The camera holds for several long seconds, lingering on the devastation before fading out. Many recall a subdued musical motif, a mournful swell of strings that underscores the emotional finality of the moment. This ending appears in no confirmed release, and studio documentation does not acknowledge any such sequence being screened publicly. Yet, the memory persists with remarkable detail across countless fan accounts. Some believe the ending stems from an early test screening intended to gauge emotional impact before a more optimistic resolution was chosen. Others suspect promotional footage for international markets may have included darker tonal imagery, subconsciously filling in narrative gaps. Given the film's central premise, repeating trauma until resolution, the phantom ending feels like a natural thematic outgrowth, which may explain why so many viewers internalized it, but the precision with which they describe the lighting, the framing, and Rita's final words suggests more than a simple imagined moment. Whether this non-existent ending was a discarded concept or a collectively constructed closure, it remains one of sci-fi's most enduring alternate movie memories. 13. Event Horizon, the missing hellscape montage that haunts fan memory. Of all the phantom scenes circulating around Event Horizon, none looms larger than the infamous extended hellscape montage that countless viewers swear once appeared during the ship's recovered transmission. In this remembered version, the chaotic flashes of brutality last noticeably longer, long enough to imprint vivid, visceral images that seem impossible to forget. Fans describe bodies writhing in mechanical restraints, eyes gouged open in silent agony, and figures entangled in wires like marionettes of suffering. Some recall a crew member screaming directly into the camera as their face distorts unnaturally, illuminated by relentless red strobe lights. None of this appears in the film's surviving cuts. Despite the lack of evidence, these recollections remain eerily consistent. Viewers across decades recount the same rhythm: rapid-fire cuts, the overwhelming sense of torment, and a faint, unidentifiable growl layered beneath the audio. The theatrical release contains only fractured glimpses of chaos, yet many insist they once saw a more extended, more horrifying version, one that left them shaken long after leaving the theater. The film's history fuels the myth. Director Paul W. S. Anderson acknowledged that a significantly gorier cut was screened for early audiences before being heavily edited at the studio's request. However, he maintains that most of the removed footage was lost or destroyed, making it impossible to restore. This admission has only strengthened belief in the phantom montage, suggesting that perhaps some viewers truly witnessed a version now erased from existence. Reports persist of overseas screenings using alternate reels or of late-night broadcasts that seemed too intense compared to later home releases. While none have been substantiated, the consistency of the memory suggests something was seen, whether an early assembly cut, a misaligned projection reel, or an echo of a cut that lived only briefly. Regardless of its source, the phantom hellscape montage remains one of science fiction's most haunting cinematic ghosts, a moment that feels undeniably real to those who claim they saw it, even though the film no longer contains it at all. 14. Total Recall 1990. Quaid's Lost Mars reflection that no print contains. Among fans of Total Recall, one phantom scene appears with uncanny regularity. A quiet philosophical moment in which Quaid contemplates his fractured identity against the backdrop of the Martian horizon. In the recollected sequence, he stands alone on a dusty plateau while crimson storms swirl in the distance. The wind howls faintly, and the light takes on a deep amber hue. Then Quaid speaks not with bravado, but with an introspective vulnerability rarely seen in the film. Many recall him saying something akin to, "If I'm made of memories, then whose life am I living?" The line has endless variations, but the emotional tone is always the same. This moment exists in no official version of Total Recall. No theatrical cut, extended edition, or documentary footage includes such a scene. Yet, fans describe the camera slowly pushing in on Quaid, capturing the dust rippling around him, emphasizing a moment of existential clarity before the narrative surges toward its climax. Some insist Melina is present beside him, others claim he is completely alone, but all remember the same reflective mood. Speculation about its origins ranges from abandoned dialogue rehearsals to an early script draft that included more internal conflict for the protagonist. Production notes reference experimental Mars set lighting tests filmed with Schwarzenegger, which may have contributed to the shared imagery. Still, none of these explain the haunting uniformity of the memory across viewers who watched the film in different decades and regions. Thematically, the Phantom monologue feels strikingly in tune with the story's exploration of identity and manipulation, so much so that audiences might have subconsciously constructed the missing moment to fill an emotional gap. But the precision of the recollections suggests more than imagination. For many, the scene is as real as anything in the film. Whether once part of an early assembly cut or the result of collective reconstruction, Quaid's Lost Mars reflection stands as one of sci-fi's most persistent false memories, a scene perfectly suited to total recall, yet somehow absent from every surviving print. 15. Solaris, 2002, Hari's final farewell that lives only in memory. Few Phantom scenes evoke as much quiet sorrow as the rumored farewell between Hari and Chris Kelvin in Solaris. Many viewers recall a deeply emotional moment near the film's conclusion, one that appears in no existing version. In this memory, Hari approaches Kelvin in a narrow corridor, bathed in flickering turquoise light. Her expression is gentle, almost apologetic, as if fully aware of the impossibility of her existence. She reaches up, touches Kelvin's face with trembling calm, and whispers a line that countless fans remember in some form. "You dreamed me, but I chose my ending." In the remembered sequence, Kelvin attempts to respond, but his words falter. Hari begins to glow faintly, her form loosening into drifting shards of light that dissipate into the corridor's shadows. The camera lingers on Kelvin as the realization sinks in he has lost her again, but this time by her own decision. A low, melancholic musical cue underscores the moment, giving it a sense of finality absent from the film's actual ending. Despite the emotional weight described by viewers, the scene does not exist in any deleted footage, featurette, or alternate edition. Some speculate that early festival cuts may have included a different emotional structure. Others theorize that behind-the-scenes tests involving light projection effects known to have been conducted during production may have blended into collective memory over time. Steven Soderbergh has acknowledged removing several introspective sequences for pacing but never confirmed such a farewell. What makes this Phantom scene especially compelling is how completely it aligns with the film's themes: love, memory, and the blurred line between authentic connection and constructed illusion. It is precisely the kind of moment viewers expected and perhaps needed to see, and for many, that expectation solidified into memory. Hari's silent farewell persists as one of cinema's most haunting, non-existent scenes, a moment that never appeared on screen, yet lives vividly in the minds of those convinced they witnessed it. If these vanished moments and impossible recollections leave you unsettled, you're not alone. The deeper we dig, the more the boundaries between what we watched and what we remember begin to blur. Somewhere between forgotten edits, discarded reels, and the strange architecture of memory, entire versions of films seem to flicker in and out of existence. Stay close to the vault, this exploration is far from over. There are still countless fragments, anomalies, and unaccounted scenes waiting in the dark, and each one brings us closer to understanding what truly hides between the frames.